Well, we meet again, which is a joke. This is not quite a test, but it's more like. Yeah, actually, it's a test. So I'm going to try to switch to Facebook because, like, I guess it's just a little more, I don't know. I'm going to just try to switch to Facebook Live because I get the sense that there's more people out there. Don't ask me why. Like, well, there's a lot of people on the platform, obviously. Couple B's, couple bills of people on there. So it doesn't matter necessarily though. Like this is just, it's not a test. It's like a rant, if you will. It's like a just like to exert to do that for the day, just to exert a little bit for the day, which is something I would like to do as like a habit, realistically, but a lot of streaming tendencies have not come, or content making hasn't always come to fruition in the past because of just a lot of changing of elements, variables, yada yada, locations. So the tech aspect has not been static enough to keep things in line or in motion, for lack of better words. So here we are chatting for now, and at the same time, I guess, there's intention, as I mentioned, to do this a bit more, and also to, shift to Facebook again, for lack of better words, because like before on Facebook it was cool, but like I don't know, it's just a feeling. It's a feeling I get. So like streaming these days, you have to have 100 followers, whereas you didn't before, which I guess means friends and such. So then it would be active again, and so yeah, I just can't go live on it right now. But my rants and raves such as this seem more welcome over there because it's like more of a sense that there might be people coming in to watch, whereas here it's not really. You don't get that sense necessarily on YouTube. So I guess I'm just practicing maybe and warming up, I guess, until trying to go back to Facebook Live, but it doesn't really necessarily matter, and that's maybe what this little rant is all about, because it's just like, I don't know, it's just a vibe. It's just a vibe. It's just like, let's just do this, like that's what this vibe is. I'm really not caring. I'm not podcasting. I'm not doing anything other than just vibing because it's like something to do in the day to exert. I've like been, where to start? Yeah, I mean, like doing sort of like public speaking is like a very obscure thing to try to get into, and it's a matter of like somewhat reinforcement, also like audience presence, and that is so ironic. It's not so ironic, but it's ironic enough to me in this whole brand building process where it's like I somewhat am like to think that more comes about and comes out when there's an audience, and so that's what this is kind of, I guess, about. A lot of the socials, a lot of the elements of building socials tends to revolve around, people not being present and such, and it's very ironic. So because like people being present causes the energy to make content, so that's why it's ironic. It's hard to explain beyond that. Like I don't know, even talking about this causes like an interest to like flip that script a little bit. I used to do this on Facebook Live. That's why I talk about Facebook Live, where I would just chit chat and just rant in the camera for a while on my phone in NYC. And so this is a little bit reminiscent of that. That's really what this comes down to. Sometimes things come about and like I decide like what to do next, which oftentimes is like me note taking, but it's an individual process. Whereas like this ranting is kind of like not individual, and I'm making content and I'm like somewhat talking to myself, teaching myself things, and also trying to hold myself accountable to make moves going forward. And that's kind of what spiritual finance is also, which is a thing that I try to teach about or want to teach about more so. And that's part of, I think, why I'm doing this rant also, is to be able to move in the direction of doing more rants on Facebook Live so that I can then rip the content ASAP to maybe put elsewhere into a podcast or whatever. But because like these days it's really about more like organization than ever before, because like in the past I would do scatter streams and never use it, never put context to it or put it in a different arena. Whereas now like distribution is a big factor. Like that's like the whole factor. So that's where I'm at with that, is trying to like add some distribution someday into the mix perhaps, which again relates to people being there as opposed to not being there, to cause more inspiration, to have more and hopefully better content. But yeah, so yeah, that's one side to it. But then sometimes like what I'm trying to hopefully do with some more Facebook Live stuff is like have a just an idea of an audience being there, because they don't always come also. Just because it's Facebook Live, people don't necessarily just come. It doesn't happen. So it's not that. It's just an idea. It's a figment of an idea on Facebook, which relates to more people being there because it's just like a user friendliness. I don't know. It's something to that effect. Like with Facebook Live, there's more of a vibe that it's got more of an ability to spread or trend or be present or connect with other people on Facebook Live, whereas YouTube, it's just like always feels dead on the live stream. Hard to explain beyond that. Not like it matters, but what matters most is making hopefully content and having interesting things pop out of the woodwork just from chatting. Like it's almost like self-therapy because no one's on the lives. I don't have an audience realistically, and that's why it's like self-therapy for content building, because sometimes little things will pop up. That's what happened last year when I was doing these, and that was cool. It's like therapy for doing more brand building, whereas like whatever, I don't know, there's there's kind of two sides to the game. There's like finance and content, and like you gotta like have finance like in the thing where you have like a job or whatever just to cover bills and expenses, and then you have content which kind of relates to the thing you want to do somewhat, like meaning like do like if you want to propel some aspect of life or focus on it or make a business out of it, it's kind of like over here, this is the aspect where you have to cover your bills, cover your finance and things like that. And so like one of the things today especially I was thinking about was like investing, and like this is an investment in time with content making obviously, and trying to build in this side, but then also in the finance side there's like certain minimum amount of expenses, and like if you can possibly just keep other expenses on top of those minimum expenses low, just keep the minimum expenses low and then try to have everything over top of that be invested. That's something today I was thinking about would be just ideal to try to get more into, just like more wild, frequent, flagrant investments. Like even to like try to lose, it, just like have a certain allotment of money every day to try to invest, maybe in something different, not sure, but it's about building a portfolio from many different directions and just like taking chances and having it build, and also try to lose or be okay with losing. Obviously you don't want to try to lose, but you want to, like, in my opinion from the day, you want to invest at a certain allotment of money, call it $100, call it $80, call it $50, call it $20, $25, $200, whatever it fits in with the daily budget, so that every single day things are being invested. And also things can be invested into other things too, like in the content side, in this side, brand building side, you can try to sell something, a white label product, try to sell a product on demand, a print on demand product, and try to promote it, spend some money on that. That's still an investment. If there's a return on investment, that totally counts in the investment pool. And then there's also accounting, keeping track of every little, I call them circles, which is a venture that you try to put money in the direction of that. And so that's the bottom line. Like that's something I'm trying to promote maybe in this little gimmick video, is like having circles, be trying them more like on a day-to-day basis, so there's like at least one every day, having trying to develop this base of money foundation so that there's expenses, like even taxes you could say, are allotted, and then anything on top of that is just invested every day, every single day, ideally 7 days a week. If it had to be 5 days a week, okay, but ideally 7 days a week. So there's constantly a new investment going on every day, even if it's like you want to take more risks, so you lower the amount. If it's usually a $20, $35 investment day, and you just want to take a more hard risk or a more interesting risk, like an altcoin in cryptocurrency, then maybe you spend 10 of it, but you still spend it on, you still spend some, 10 out of the $35 you spend on an altcoin, and then maybe 25 of it you put into a safer stock, so that just the portfolio just is doing this on a day-to-day basis, and it becomes more alive. That's what it's all about. It's not about trying to win with every investment. It's about actually trying to lose all of the time and feeling completely okay with it, because that's how the game is set up, is more losses equal more wins later, from just like, oh, I didn't actually want to lose. You don't try to, but you're okay with it. You're fully okay with it. And that's maybe the bottom line of this one. I almost could just turn it off right now, because like I added a little bit of value almost by accident right now, because it was something from earlier today where I was like, I just thought I was going to rant and rave, but I may as well go with something that has a little bit of value, because you may as well, you know. Let me see. I wish I could like actually change the description of the video while I was making this stupid video, so that like it was possible to do, let's see, can I add the description? No. I tried to. I just tried to add the description as I was doing the stream. That would have been cool. If I could update the label as I was doing the stream, so that afterwards, because usually when I close it out, I don't feel like touching it again. The video content, the label, the description, what have you. Anyway, see how time flies when I take the window out of my sight and I'm not looking at the stream window, and I just start ranting about things. It just, the time adds up a lot quicker and you end up with a lot longer of a stream. Anyway, I'm really trying to change things, change ways. I'm trying to distribute on like Roku, for example, if possible. Keep having little run-ins that like cause it to not necessarily function just yet, but we're trying to get on there to stream on there. And Amazon Fire, they kind of go hand in hand. So like hopefully it's possible to get up there someday or one of these times, and one of these days. And then like just continuing distribution. It's just interesting to, yeah, I mean, so, you know, just continuing to make content is, I think, a good habit, but just continuing to do it alone is not. It's not. It's not really anymore. There's a lot of this stuff that's just sitting in obscurity, a lot of this content sitting in obscurity, and the active attempt is to try to start to change that. Last year was doing it into obscurity and being cool with that, but like trying to now like contextualize and mix some content in with other places where it can provide some value. Like spiritual finance is something that's supposed to have a lot of value, and it's also something that was just labeled recently as spiritual finance, and like the depth of it is endless. It's just like has to do with the infinite, but really it's like trying to grab little parts of the infinite while you're thinking about things, and like the circles I was talking about before, and then just making systems and like little just interesting processes that are almost visual, mentally visual, but still scientific, but still functional, still possible to talk about, so that it's possible to like reiterate value through strategic processes of just like little hacks in life to just get closer to goals or finances or what have you, so that, you know, it's about using algorithms to try to do that, but they're like spiritual algorithms. No, they're like logic, but it's also like an essence of spirituality that's mixed in, because there's unknowns, but then again, you know, spirituality is supposed to mean, it means, you know, science that's like unexplainable. That's like a definition almost of not spiritual finance, but like spirituality in business. It's like there's elements that are not proven in a lab that are like still scientific methods, or still methodologies, or still logic based, or still can cause an outcome, but they're not proven in a lab based on linear, organized, you know, step-by-step processes that can cause a result, but they're not proven in a lab. They're just not proven. I guess that's the bottom line. They're just not proven. They're not published as being proven, but they're still functionally like logic-based, you know, processes that can try to lead to a cause and effect result. That's kind of what spiritual finance, I guess, is about. It's just like hacks from a mental standpoint that's not proven, because you can't prove these things in a lab, because you can't like, it's just certain things you can't prove because it's spirituality based, and like there's an element of science to that, and then trying to translate that into just like the baseline of outcomes of, producing processes that are positive and interesting and relate to ambition and monetary finance and or monetary stuff and finance and things like that is the intention. So anyhow, yeah, spirituality is obviously a vast tunnel of unknowns and beliefs, visualizations and such. So it's like being able to tap into that to enhance finance and to build a portfolio, build processes that have to do with stretching into yourself and then stretching the self, the idea of the self, to be able to stretch a portfolio is an interesting, concept that relates to spiritual finance in of itself. So it's just like, really going deep into visualizations, going deep into like conceptualization about, obviously not philosophical thought, but concepts, conceptualizations that are based on visualization, based on, expanding upon visualizations, visual conceptualizations that have to do with potential of things fitting together in an energetic sense. But it's not like proven in a lab. It's not like written in a book. It's just conceptual energy flow and like energy flow equations, basically energy flow equations. And those are not in a lab. You can't go like, this times this will equal this in a lab, because it's like you're talking about a dog times like, a turkey sandwich, or like a dog times a, a dog times a palm tree equals a, a dog on a palm tree shirt. I mean, for example, that's kind of stupid. What? No, a dog times a palm tree equals like a dog times a palm tree equals what? Equals a coconut hat for dogs, okay? That's really stupid and weird, honestly. But it equals a hat made of coconuts for dogs. Like that, it's just that, what do you call it? Collision of the unknown to equal other unknowns. Just like that was all just freestyle live, So that also could have been a business. Like that could be a business. Coconut hats for dogs. Like it's ridiculous, but why not? It's possible. You just have to market it. You have to put it out there. So that's like this. That's an essence of spiritual finance. It's just taking unknowns with other unknowns and making things, like being in the kitchen, taking random ingredients and trying to make a new sauce, make something completely new, because it's just not done before. And all the things are not done before. Everything in the world that's possible is not done before. And also, if you add other ingredients to that, it just makes it all new. The multiplication and the math make it like endless amounts of numbers that are things that are undone before. And that's what has to do with like white space, making a new business, like, and spiritual finance has to do with the unknowns. And a lot of that is just not really talked about, for better or worse. And like businesses, specific businesses are always promoting themselves, but the essence of spiritual finance and duplicating, multiplying potential, human potential, energy, just from like the interest of expanding on just random dumb things like I just talked about, becoming a business or becoming an entity or becoming something of importance, is just like a matter of creation. Just like all movies that are dumb, movies started as some creation and then they were made into a product, and then that product was marketed and then that product sold a lot. That's a perfect example. Movies are a great example of dumb stuff that can exist and become a product and make a lot of money. And it's just like started as nothing, and then it became an idea, just like a stupid coconut hat for dogs, period. That's in relation to spiritual finance. It's like creation of value out of nothing, out of thin air. And those multiplication equations that can come from and merge from any different directions are possible in an endless sense, kind of. It's called white space also, but it's like multiplication of random ingredients to equal unknown ingredients that happen from a combination of writing, inference, and logic, and like, just an outcome that has to do with like providing value to an audience in some fashion, and then relates to a story. like that, is relatable to, stories, and like is functionally interesting enough to carry on people's attention, to care for 5 seconds, to where maybe they'll buy it, and then that causes value. And that's the game of business, right? Like, so like that in of itself could be an NFT. And even though that stupid business of coconut helmets doesn't exist for dogs, but now it can. Just from this live stream, it can. We can make an NFT, and then that NFT can be a symbol for like, and then also hopefully there's a good cause at the back end of the coconut hat for dogs. But the bottom line is that it can exist now because of this stupid live stream. Anyway, the bottom line is you have to follow through, bring it to the market, make the product, yada, 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 with businesses. But, it's just about that potential, expanding on potential by doing it by accident. And it kind of goes back to the investing thing of investing wildly, actual dollars, investing wildly to try to grow a portfolio. It's the same thing with trying stuff, to put it online, to promote it, to see if there's traction, actually trying, actually putting it into an audience, which is the opposite of what I'm doing with this video and branding, so that there's potential to actually push things forward. Sometimes they can happen by accident. Same with investing, you can make money by accident. So it's about just trying all over the board. Like, I'm just trying to promote having a wide portfolio, I guess, in this video of like 40 things, perhaps, is a good top end number of things to try to focus on. And then, little by little, weed some of the other things out, and then add more to get back to 40, and then like continue on and try to get to like 100 eventually, or something like that. But then also, if you're doing it every day, that's 365 days a year, then times that by a couple of years, you're trying to have like multiple hundreds every year. If you get to a certain place where especially if you have a portfolio, it's doing decent or well, and then you just throw a couple dollars at a few things every day. I just think it's good practice. I think it's a cool practice to throw a couple dollars at either altcoins or something, be prepared to lose it, be 100% cool with losing it, so that maybe by accident you find a gold well or a gold mine. You just find something take off, and you're just like, whoa, that's awesome. In an ideal sense, I don't know if that'll, occur, but obviously in the private sector, it's easier for that to happen. In the public sector, it's not just going to take off, never. Basically, it will just go up 1%, 2%, a month, a year, whatever it is, a day. Could be like that. Whatever. No, but that's just, what I think this whole concept and idea of spiritual finance is all about, is like trying to test not just the markets, but different aspects of energy, to just test them, like get wild testing out there. That's what I'm trying to make a platform someday, which I'll probably never get around to doing because I'm just too dysfunctionally, like not OCD or ADD, but it's just like something in between. Like, it's just too much difficulty to like actually get to that product or result. So part of these streams and me branding for my own brand is to try to eventually someday try to get there. Maybe, maybe not. Whatever. This is like a venting stream, straight up venting stream. Not even gonna hide it beyond that. And this is a good place to end. So hopefully some value squeaked through in the last 23 minutes, but I tried to talk a little bit fast-ish. So hopefully it was enough, enough in that shortish amount of time, so that there's enough time to now exit with more time and the rest of the hour to do other things with. So hopefully someday, somehow, somewhere, someone, sometime, maybe, maybe not, perhaps gets a little bit of value from this little chit-chatteroo. And have a great day as well to you. Yep, cheers. And thanks. Yep, cheers. And okay. Thanks, bye. Thinky Tech. Thanks, peace.